Yo, what's up, Devin?
Hey, Roger. Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing out there in Streamland? My name is Roger Rivas.
We're good. We're good here. That's the voice of Streamland, by the way.
That's the voice of Streamland. Yeah. They'll mature someday. They got small voices. They'll be bigger. Yeah. I'm Roger Rivas, and that's Man Like Devin over there in from Venice, California, right? Is that where we're at?
Yes,
right now?
that's where I'm at.
Right.
Where are you at, by the way?
This is Porter Ranch, California. It's Northridge, but people say Porter Ranch because it's like a fancy way of saying Porter Ranch. But
that's right.
But when you hear Porter Ranch, it just sounds like a dressing that you would put on a steak or something. You know, like doesn't it? You know?
It totally does.
So it's like one of those things.
Yeah, let me get. What would you like for your steak? Let me get some of that Porter Ranch.
Please, yeah. Can I get a little side of that Porter Ranch?
Exactly.
It's Northern Northridge. We're not fooling anyone.
It's Northern North. Yeah. And that's, dang, that's north because Northridge is north. Anyway, enough regional Los Angeles geography.
Yes.
Okay. Because today we have a very special guest on the show. Our good friend Josh Heinrichs is here.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows anything about reggae, especially reggae in the American scene in the last 20 years, knows Josh Heinrichs is one of the great voices in the American reggae scene, and all-around great dude, anti-racist activist out in Missouri, one of my favorite musicians, and just a great dude. And he's on the show today, and I know people want to talk to him and ask him some questions. So why don't we quickly get to our first part of the show, which
Let's jump in. Record of the week.
Yes, that's it.
Record of the week. You know, me and Devin have a lot of cool records we want to share with you guys. And this week, my record is a song called Give Thanks by the Lyrics. Yeah, check it out, people. We'll talk about it in a bit.
Okay, here it is. Give Thanks by the Lyrics.
God and King, and only good things your life's gonna bring now. God and King, and only good things your life's gonna bring now. Yeah.
Yes, that's a nice little bouncy tune.
Ooh,
I
that
would
is
use
nice.
bouncy to describe it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I said chugger. Sometimes we use different words to describe, and that one just kind of bounces. It's like a nice.
That's a bouncer.
It's a bouncer. It's a nice, safe, skinhead reggae type-ish tune. You know, I
Right.
feel like, you know, when the skinhead reggae thing was really just first starting, and we'll keep as far as the characteristics of the song and within Jamaica. So I'm not talking about the UK kind of stuff, but with Jamaica, you could tell like it was a little more rough around the edges, and it was like I thought it was cooler, and then it kind of morphed into this whole, like I think another tune that's a good example is like Bob Andy and Marcia Griffiths, like Young, Gifted, and Black. Like it's got the characteristics of what people would call 1969 reggae, but it's like safer. It's almost like a more produced. I don't know.
You're saying the other not this tune, but its counterparts.
Right. Well, yeah. This tune is what I'm talking about. Like the
Oh, okay.
definition of like a safer.
I see. I see.
Like a safer. That's the best way I could describe it. Kind of more production, less ad-libbing. I think on like the keys part. I mean, the keyboard player has a line and everything, but I think it's just less gritty.
So is that a JA recording? Because I know like there was in that era there was some stuff like being recorded actually in the UK. Right?
Yes. No. Yeah. That was a JA recording.
Okay.
That actually the people that were in the band, believe it or not, is Fred Locks was the singer.
Oh wow.
And yeah, people that are familiar with Fred Locks or not, he's best known. He's got a mid-'70s single called Black Star Liners. I think that's his biggest hit.
Yeah.
But a lot of the lyric stuff was recorded, believe it or not, like in the late 60s with Coxsone. So they had tunes like a Get It, Girls Like Dirt, a couple others. They weren't a
Right.
big band. They were one of those bands where like, oh yeah, I've heard of them if you're a record collector.
That tune right there that you played, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that's probably on the top of my head, like maybe the first one you've played so far that I've never heard that song before. I've heard the other lyrics one you mentioned, Girls Like Dirt,
Oh yeah.
and then they've got some others. I never heard that one. That's a really, really nice one.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like when I first heard it, I was like, all right, let me buy this. And it was up there for a good price. So I was like, yeah, I got to get this. And it's cool because the actual label looks like that. Like it's just a Chappie label.
Chappie is dope. Chappie has some really, really good.
Right.
Like I've got some like Ethiopians on Chappie and a couple other tunes.
Totally. And it'll surprise you because being a record collector, when you see a certain label, you got to entertain it because oh, okay. It just kind of triggers something in your head. Like those are heavy hits are on that label. And then there's some labels that'll just fool you. Like a good example is Torpedo. It's a UK label. It's a skinhead reggae label. And there are some really heavy tunes. But then there's some real lame tunes. So the consistency that the label had, it's not one of those that you just pick up any tune on the label. You have
Torpedoes,
to hear it.
it's like red, right? It's red. And
That's
there's
green.
Like
They have green and they
red
have
green. I mean,
red.
I want to split hairs.
Throw gold in there.
Yeah.
It's a green label, but I think they have like a couple that are like dark bluish.
Okay.
It's like
What am I thinking of the red one? Is that Bullet? Is there a label called Bullet?
Bullet, yeah.
And
Bullet's
it's got like
another
a
good
bullet
one.
and it's red.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Right.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of.
And Bullet's a good one. See, I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of those UK subsidiary labels they're pretty safe to go ahead and grab a copy because something's going to be cool on it. But yeah, I mean, with the Chappie label, if it's there, you get it. I'm a big fan of the
I
Chappie
agree.
label. But yeah, Fred Locks I was a real trip to find that out that he was the singer of that band. I guess the story goes that later the Lyrics released a song called Sing Along in 1971 on their own label. So that band tried to start their own label called the Lyric Label, believe it or not. I didn't see it. I'm just researching online. And I guess Fred Locks was like, I ain't having the money part of, business. And he kind of got like discouraged or whatever. So he went and started, lived on the beach at Harbor View and got into the Rastafarian faith and then, just wrote, Black Star Liner. So it was cool. I've never heard of the Lyrics prior to like, I don't know, a couple years ago, really. So
I had them like, I think Girls Like Dirt, and there's another tune that I can't think of right now that's like, I don't know, I can't think of it, but I'm pretty sure Chuck Foster used to play it on the radio. It was like a regular for him. One of those tunes that every few months you'd hear him play, But that one is really nice. I never heard it.
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
bouncy. You're right about
It's
that.
bouncy. It's another
And-
one that you might not play like,
Right. And do you know anything? I'm just looking at your notes here. Do you know
Come
anything
on.
about Albert Tomlinson and Delmar Campbell?
So as always, when I see these names, right, I gotta look up.
Dude, those are
and-
like such awesome Jamaican names. First of all,
dude.
like,
Yes.
if you just said those names, I'd be like, oh, those are some Jamaican dudes.
So Albert did have like one or two songs on the Giant label. You know that there's a label called Giant. It's like yellow
Mhm.
and red, and that was it. I mean, DeMar, that was this was his band, and that was that. I don't know what he went on to do, but you know, yeah.
There's no there's no Delmar.
Stafford Elliott definitely went on to make some hits.
Right.
So, what do you got? What do you got brewing? What's your tune?
Okay. Well, today I've got yet another Attack label. I don't do this on purpose. I just guess I like a lot of Attack label tunes. This one is by a group called Thunderball, which, as far as I know, is a one-off group. And this tune is called White Bird Come Down. And there's lots of things I love about this song. It's a beautiful tune. We'll talk about it after we listen to it. But just everyone, see if you could pay attention to the lyrics. It's just like a mysterious song to me. He's telling a story. And if for all the people out there who don't have trouble understanding Jamaican patois, listen to the lyrics and just try to follow along with the story. And we'll talk about it on the flip side. So here we go. Thunderball, White Bird, Come Down.
I could remember, yeah, when I was a little boy. Passing through the valley, yeah, watching the cattle feed. They were the blackbird around, yeah, fixing their cars. But after being a grown man, happened to pass through the valley, something strange just reached my eyes. They were not the blackbird around. White bird come down and take the place of the blackbird. And I sing, black man, look up. Hey, the table is turned. Why won't you look up? Hey, the table is turned. And I sing, black man, look up. Early one morning, I get up, rush to my window to take the cool atmosphere. And they were the blackbird around singing. White bird come down and take the place of the blackbird. And I sing, black man, look up. Hey, the table is turned. Black man, look up. Hey, the table is turned. Right over. Black man, look up. The table is turned. Why won't you look up? Hey, the table is turned. And I sing, black man, look up. The table is turned.
Yes. So that is White Bird Come Down by Thunderball. So first of all, I mean, you heard it, Raj,
Yeah.
I'm sure. That beautiful piano. Just really, really nice piano and guitar work on that tune, especially on the intro. And then in the middle, the little piano stuff. But like the lyrics of that song are really, every time, like, so maybe, I'll put this caveat. It could, oftentimes I'm like, I hear some story they're talking about in reggae and I'm like, whoa, that's so crazy. That's so mysterious. And then someone's like, no, it's just like a Bible verse, and I'm like, okay, well,
Ah,
so this, it could be like maybe it's out of the Bible, and I don't know,
right.
but like, let's just assume it's not for the sake of making my argument interesting. He's saying the lyrics he's saying like when he was this isn't word for word, right? But like he was a young man in the valley, and he used to see blackbirds mixing with the cows, right? And watching the cattle feed. And then when he grows up and he happens to be passing through the same valley, and he notices something strange, that there's no more blackbirds. It's all white birds. And so he says, white birds come down, take the place of the blackbird. So I said, black man, look up, the table is turned. So at first, it's like the metaphors seem kind of obvious, right? It's like, okay, the blackbirds were replaced by the white birds. We can assume we know what he's trying to say with that. But then adding, I said, black man, look up, the table is turned. It makes it seem to me like he's saying the fact that the white birds came down and took the place of the blackbird is like a symbol of the tables turning.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like mysterious to me. It's like what actually is he saying that this is a symbol of? Is it like that things are changing for the better? Things are like the tables are going to turn now, because usually you use the phrase like the tables are going to turn, meaning like things are going to get better, right?
Right.
So it's just like it's just always I still can never figure that song out, right? You think that the lyrics would be the opposite, that things are going to get better because the blackbirds took the place of the white birds. But
Right.
he's saying the opposite, and so it's just like always been a mysterious tune to me,
Well, yeah. I mean, when I hear the tables have turned, it could have a negative connotation as well. I feel it doesn't always have to lead to a positive thing. It's kind of poetic, and the way I took that line was, there's the analogy of the birds, but as soon as he says black man, then it's like he's like, all right, there's no question about it. It's not an analogy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, this is exactly what I'm addressing. And the tables have turned. And yeah, it could mean so much, right? Like, the blackbirds were taken over by the white bird. I mean, and to what is he really trying to say with that? Like, what is it? Just a broad statement, or is it something in particular in Jamaica that pertains to Jamaica?
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts about it. But it's just like, it's such a beautiful song. I love like even just like the imagery of him like coming back to the valley as an older man and seeing like the same birds, but now like seeing the same scenery, but now it's different birds. And then like I said, it's just like the band is killing it. Attack label stuff is just, I'm not picking these. This is probably like the third Attack 7-inch I've picked on the show so far, and I'm not even doing that on purpose.
Right.
They just release some killers. I love 1976 around there is like my favorite era in Jamaican music, and they just released some crazy stuff.
Someone told me that Morrissey bought the Attack label.
What?
So yeah, no lie. So this is something that, and I want to say this is completely true. If anybody out there knows anything about it, please chime in on the chat section. But something along the lines of, okay, these record labels, granted that they're not active anymore, I'm sure that there's still legalities, so over the years, maybe Attack, the subsidiary, was, I don't know the rights to it, maybe, I don't know the specifics, but I did hear that Morrissey bought
Because
owns the Attack label, I guess.
I think Attack was a subsidiary of Trojan. I mean, all right, but now it's a subsidiary of Morrissey, I guess.
Release some Morrissey tunes on it, I guess. I don't know.
You're gonna start. You know how like Coxsone in the 80s would start to reissue like his early 70s.
Yeah, with the drums.
And there'd be like weird drums, or like Burning Spear's first albums like that. You're gonna hear like Morrissey start to reissue some of these tunes, and then just suddenly like Morrissey's on the you're like, is that Morrissey?
Is that Morrissey?
Thunderball?
And he's like, I was a big Thunderball fan. That's my best Morrissey.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. Let's talk about that name Thunderball, right? That's crazy too.
I know, not like the Thunderballs.
Right, just Thunderball.
Just Thunderball.
Like, all right. Wow. There's a story with that. That's a trip right there.
And I just, dude, again, like, I'll just keep saying this. When you get like a one-off, or I don't know, maybe they have another song or two or something.
Right.
And it's so good that, like when I first got into reggae and I would hear an obscure tune like that, I'd be like, oh my God, Thunderball. I got to go find all their albums because they're going to be great. And then you go research it and you're like, no, there's no Thunderball albums,
Nah.
not even one album. There's not even any other songs. That's it. They
That's
just
it.
came down, murdered one song as if like they were going to take over the whole scene, and then just never recorded another song. Like it's, and Jamaican music is full of that kind of thing. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that's like one of those. It's like if I had been the producer and I heard that, I'd be like, dude, you guys got to make an album. You know, where let me hear the rest of your songs. But no, they.
No.
And you know, Clinton Farron, when we had him on, he talked a little bit about that. Right? It's just like it was so hard, even if you had talent to. And we, you know, as musicians, we can identify with this today. It's not much different. It's like, you know, you might be dope, but for whatever reason, if your song didn't hit, it's like you don't have the. Especially if you came from the country, you know, trying to make it, you know, down in Kingston in the music industry, and it didn't work out quickly, then what are you going to do? You know, it's like you got to go back to the country and start farming again, and that's it.
The
You know, you're not gonna
reality.
you're not going to
And
be
sometimes
recording
we don't
anymore.
think about that. You know, we think
Right.
everything's just all nice and dandy, and they're coming in and recording. Nah, this was a different. It was a different perspective. It was like, you know, they were doing this to get out of the struggles and everything. If they had a
Exactly.
voice, if they can write music, and I think that's a testament to the actual songs too. You know, because if
For
you
sure.
are banking, you can't afford to come in with a weak tune or give a half-ass performance. You know, and nowadays anybody can record 1 million songs in their garage. You know, so
But not in Thunderball's day.
not
You had to-
Thunderball's day, man.
You had to
You
come down
have
to the studio, and that's
either
it.
that.
Derek Richardson in the comments says, how do you guys find these rare, obscure tunes? Well, you know, Roger and I have been listening to, you know, beyond listening, just like our whole lives have been reggae for, you know, at least 20 years now. And just lots of avenues, radio
Yeah.
shows, friends who would make us tapes in the 90s. And then you just start collecting and you find out where are good places to go and buy records, or good people to talk to who know different records. And you just, you know, over the years, it's just being a record collector. It's like anything you might be into, collecting whatever it may be, you know?
Right? If you love it and you're into it and you have an interest, you know, I've been fortunate to tour Europe many times with the Agrolites. So every time I go to Europe, especially like the UK, you know, be able to find time to walk around and buy records at all the shops there. It's a totally different story than it is over here in Los Angeles. You can't do that. You're not even going to get lucky and find some reggae tune. Over there, you can dig and get lucky and find some really cool tunes. So sometimes you find tunes that you know. You look at the label and you recognize the name of the band or the song. And other times, like we talked about earlier, sometimes it's just the label you recognize and you take a chance on it. You know, so that's kind of cool because most of the time you'll find something that's cool that might not even be on YouTube, you know, or be on a comp. It was just on vinyl, and that was that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of tunes like that. A lot. Like if we think there's a lot of Jamaican tunes that are digitized and on comps, there's so many more tunes that are
Yet to be released. And
yet to be released.
this Thunderball tune, there's a dub version of it on Spotify randomly, but it's not on Spotify. It's just on YouTube. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk more about this in another episode. We're gonna do
Yeah.
an episode soon where Roger and I just do tunes, but we don't want to keep the people waiting anymore because today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from Missouri.
Yeah.
Everybody, please put your digital hands together for
Yeah.
the man called Josh Heinrichs.
Josh. Yeah.
Yay.
Hello.
What's up,
Hey, what's
dude?
going on, man?
How you guys doing?
Good,
Good.
man. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having
Awesome.
me.
You
Man,
look
thank
amazing.
you so much for being on. You look amazing.
The light is just radiating behind you. I
Right?
love
It's like you're
Heck
just
yeah,
in
heck
you're in
yeah.
reggae heaven.
it.
There.
man.
I tried.
Exactly.
You've
dude.
succeeded.
How you been, man? I mean, how's the weather over there? Where you at? Will you tell the people where you're at?
I'm in Springfield, Missouri, where I was born and raised my whole life.
Wow.
And the weather is beautiful.
So I'm gonna ask a cheesy Springfield question, but like, do you guys claim to be the Springfield in The Simpsons?
No, they did like a whole thing on The Simpsons about that, where there was like they covered all the different Springfields in the United States, and sometimes they talk about like things that are around here, like Branson, Missouri's by here, and they've referenced that, like, come on kids, we're going to Branson, or but
Wow.
they do that for all the Springfields, you know, so they're all inclusive.
I see.
Crazy.
Yeah. Because that was a thing on The Simpsons. I remember, like, I stopped watching after the '90s, but they would never say what state it was in. Right? That was like
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah. Well,
Yep.
I believe it's Springfield, Missouri. Whatever they
Right?
say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
How's the reggae scene in Springfield, Missouri?
It's about me.
Nice. You
Yeah.
got it down. The monopoly's there. Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, there's a couple other acts that are here and there, but they don't play as frequently as I do. So yeah.
Nice. Does it become a challenge? I mean, I've lived in LA my whole life, so if playing reggae music, there's always kind of a pool of musicians. For better or for worse, there's always a consistent pool of musicians that are playing reggae. So I would find it challenging. I always thought, like, if I move somewhere else, I mean, just the musicians alone to play with, is there a nice selection, or is it kind of like,
There is, luckily. I mean, like I said, I live next to Branson, and so there's a lot of country bluegrass guys.
sweet?
But I mean, we live in the internet days now, so everybody studies everything,
Right.
especially musicians, and everybody loves reggae. And so I've been lucky to where I've been able to find guys. I've also joined up with the other reggae bands like we talked about here in the Midwest, in Kansas City and St. Louis. So just kind of try and work with whoever else is on the vibe.
Right.
Nice.
So, like, growing up in Springfield, was there a scene before you at all, or like, how did you access reggae? Because I know you're about our age, and so you grew up like there wasn't an internet to just find all this stuff at the tip of your fingers, and so how did you, like, were there local reggae bands or like reggae elders in Springfield, or like you're like nope.
No.
So how did you like access reggae? Growing up.
Well, I got my dad was a musician first of all, and he had like the Police and stuff like that. And it's funny, I never even realized how drawn I was to it until later on. And I was like, man, I really liked that stuff when I was a kid. But I just as a teenager, I got into like Rage Against the Machine, and of course, I heard some Bob Marley in high school. But the only Bob Marley I ever heard was that Sound Saver Bob Marley, the old school like '60s Bob Marley that they sell for $5 a box set, and so I always heard that, and I was like, I don't get why everybody loves Bob Marley. I was like, this is the recordings aren't that good and stuff, But of course, then I heard when I was like 18 or 19, I started smoking pot, and my friends were like, dude, no, this is Bob Marley, and they actually played me like an album, a Rasta Man Vibration, and I lost it, and I just started buying any kind of thing I could get, and then I found out about the you could order like stuff off from reggae magazines,
Right.
Yeah, and so I tried to just collect everything I could and just order anything I could. And I went hardcore.
Did you have like a specific reggae magazine that you like?
Well, I remember getting the Beat.
Yeah.
And
Roger Steffens.
Yeah, Roger, man. I remember finding that. Also, Ben Harper in the late '90s really got me with Jah Work. I don't know if you know that song.
No.
Okay, well, Ben Harper kind of like touched reggae just for a second, and burn one down and stuff like that.
Right.
With my own two hands, right? With my own two hands. That's a great tune, right?
Yeah, that came out a little bit after I was already into reggae, and so I like really freaked out because I was like, "Oh shit, he's really doing it."
Right.
But like just all that stuff kind of like just started pushing me towards reggae and everything. But when I got the Beat, and then, dude, funny story, man, is that there's a record store here in Springfield, Missouri. And there was like 2 or 3 used CD stores, and I would go in there all the time, and their reggae section would be like 4 CDs, like all Bob Marley. But every time it would just check, just to check, And one time I went in there, and there was like 5 new reggae CDs, and they were like all old school, like Al Campbell, like old school Roots and stuff. And I was like, what the hell is this? Nice. Gladiators. Yeah, and so I bought them. And then I went back in like a week later, and there was more CDs, and I was like, dude, what the hell? So I asked the guy that owned the CD store, I was like, hey, who's bringing in these CDs? And he's like, it's this old guy, he's a big reggae head here in Springfield. And I was like, what the hell? And I was like, so I gave him my phone number, the CD store, and I said, have him call me if he wants to sell any more CDs. And so the guy called me, and he came over, and he brought like a giant box of CDs. Anyways, he was a local radio DJ here in Springfield in the 80s, and he ran a World Beat show. And so
Wow.
he had like all these like early '90s CDs of world beat music and everything. But he gave me the catalogs too to order more
Mm-hmm.
CDs and shit. Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Nice. That's a great.
That's
Yeah.
It's a great like organic way to get to find. See, so someone asked earlier, like, how do you find these obscure tunes? Like, that's how you start.
Yeah.
You know, you have this passion to seek it out, and you know, like
Hmm.
anything in life, you're just like if you're obsessed with it, you're gonna find it eventually.
right.
Exactly. I was the same way with baseball cards when I was a kid. But
There you go. Nice.
when I was also one more story.
Yeah.
When I was growing my reggae outside of Bob Marley, trying to find something, anything, um, not having to order it, I went to another UCD store, and I went through like hundreds of CDs that day, and there was all spines, and the only spine that I found that was reggae, it was a red, gold, and green spine, and I was like, this is reggae, it's got to be reggae. So I pick it out, and it's got a picture of Selassie on the front, and I was like, oh, gold, here we go, what is this? So I flip it over, and the back it's got a big weed plant, and all the songs are in Spanish, and I was like, what the hell? Gondwana, Second
Yeah.
Coming album. Yeah, with Verde Amarillo y Rojo, all the classic Gondwana songs. And I was like, so I
Nice.
just bought it. And I took it home, and my mind was blown. I was just like, what the hell is this? And so, anyways, it's just funny how I never even knew that there was Spanish reggae. And, it all just kind of like 19, 20 years old, it just boom.
It's crazy how like little stuff like that can just get you, can really change your life. You know, one time
Oh, yeah.
I was like 15 years old, and I went to Tower Records, and I was just like barely getting into reggae, like not even that into it. And I went into the reggae section, and there was this CD that didn't even have like, I think it was a bootleg or something. It just had a big pot leaf on the front. That was it. And it was in the reggae section, and I fucking stole it. I tore open the case and like took the CD, like the actual CD itself, and put it in my pocket so it wouldn't like set off any like sensors or whatever. And took
Yeah.
it home, and it was a live Congos recording.
Oh, yeah.
And like I just got super into the Congos, and like that's how I got into the Congos, was just like jacking, and it's all because like of that big pot leaf on the front that I just randomly
Yeah, bro.
found. You know? So yeah,
It's all
I owe
about the
Tower Records
marketing.
like 1543 or whatever.
It's funny you guys mentioned that, right? Because I think that's a nice segue to like, where the scene's at, like some of the modern scenes, especially like, the Cali Roots scene. There's a lot of people, and hopefully they have the same kind of story. They're introduced to reggae through, marijuana, weed, cannabis, pot, reefer, whatever you kids want to call it, and then, it becomes that kind of scene and culture a little bit, and the music becomes secondary for some people at first. And it's good because these two stories are examples of now the music's the primary, and then, everything else is secondary. It's a nice
Yeah.
introduction. So those are like success stories. I think a lot of people are gonna have that. You can't deny Jamaican music. It's infectious.
Oh,
and
no.
It has this like vibe to it. So
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. However, you hear different stories of how people get into reggae. It's, via punk or, via weed, whatever it is, but like, or via Sublime, but like, then or nowadays via like a Slightly Stupid or a Revolution or something. And then like, but then once they hear Jamaican music, it's like, it's got them. And like, that's
Yep.
it.
Right.
That's it. So Josh, we got our boy Juan Love in the comments
Juan.
saying,
big up Juan.
yes, saying, tell us about your Jah Roots days. And I was going to ask you that because also someone on Instagram, Vibright, Vibright, is his Instagram handle, hit me up and said, like, please ask Josh about Jah Roots. Specifically, he was saying that like, to him, that Jah Roots was super unique and he's never heard another band sound like that, and he was really interested in like how you guys got that sound and what your influences were. But maybe first for people watching, you could just talk about Jah Roots, which was the band you were in before you started doing your solo stuff.
Yeah. I just was in that band from 2000. Probably it started out as another band called Finn, and like I said, I was into Ben Harper a lot as a kid, and I got into smoking pot, and I heard Bob Marley, and I was like, Ben Harper's kind of like folk rock music. And I was like, man, the reggae is what hit me with the message, and the weed and everything. And I was like, dude, this is what I want to play. This is the kind of music I want to write, like message music. that incorporates this beautiful like R&B. I love R&B too, so reggae is to me is like a form of soul music, almost. You know what I'm saying? Just with with the skanks,
Yeah.
but you guys know, especially with the harmonies and everything. But yeah, so when I was in Jah Roots, I was just hanging out with all my stoner buddies. I wasn't even in Jah Roots. I was just hanging out with my stoner buddies, some guys that I went to high school with, and neither one of them even played music, bro. I was the only one that played and sang guitar, played guitar and sang and was writing music. And I was jamming with another friend of mine that also played guitar, but he didn't sing or anything. And we just had these two guys that were just smoking weed with us all the time, hanging out with us, and we needed other people to. We were like wanting to start a band. And I told one of the guys, I was like, you should play bass. And he was like, I don't know how to play the bass. And I was like, bro, just pick up the damn guitar and just start learning the shit. Dude, he like studied it night and day, left and right. And he became Jah Roots bass player on all the albums. I mean, the kid is amazing.
Wow.
And we just went to high school together, just a regular Springfield kid, never even listened to reggae like me, you know? And so we just started diving into it deep, the Mighty Diamonds, you know, Culture, all this stuff. And he just listening to all these bass lines and getting them, you know, Aston Barrett. And so the other guy that was smoking weed with us, I was like, bro, you should play drums or congas or something. And he was like, we didn't have money to buy drums, so he had a conga, and he just started learning how to play congas, and he became the conga player. Yeah, bro, it's like that simple. And so then we did that for a couple of years, just jamming acoustic style like that, and we met a drummer, and we hired him, and he became our drummer, and that was Jah Roots, just a bunch of Springfield kids. And it boggles my mind that people even know who Jah Roots are or anything, because like nobody was at our shows. Nobody, like, we didn't tour. I mean, we toured. I guess we toured a lot, but nobody was at our shows. You know?
Well, I will say, just anecdotally, I mean, just, you know, in the however long it's been since I've just been aware of you and the Josh Heinrichs, you know, name, almost every time I bring that up to somebody, they bring up Jah Roots. They say,
I know.
They say like, oh, did you ever hear his old band Jah Roots? And like, so I mean, people definitely, whatever you guys did, it
that's
hit
the
people,
power
you
of
know?
the internet, man. That's just. I think I've been doing this internet crap, trying to just beg people to listen to my music for 20 years. You know, so
Same.
Back in the MySpace days, I was just adding, and also I did. I went crazy with it, bro. We would play. We recorded our first album in like 2001, and I was like, dude, let's not sell it. Let's just give it out for free to anybody that'll take it, because we want to get the music out there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and my wife joined these Yahoo chat groups back in the day. This is like before MySpace, but they had like all these reggae chat groups, and they'd have like 1,000, 2,000 members. And so I was like, I would put up these on the message boards. I'd be like, hey, if anybody wants a free reggae CD, we'll mail it to you for free. You know, just give us your address, bro. We mailed out thousands of CDs over the years. Yeah. And
that's brilliant.
Oh my gosh, we got so much response. It was insane. And then I just started seeing it on like reggae review websites, and then like Kazaa and Napster and all that stuff came out. And I started seeing all of our music on there, and I was like, oh shit, it's like working, dude. So that's the power of the internet. I think it was just at the right place at the right time for Jah Roots, maybe, you know, like.
I mean, even people in the comments here, like, let's see, Newt Cakes says, I got into reggae going to Jah Roots and
Newt
Josh
Cakes?
Heinrichs shows in Springfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Juan Love again, he says, Crucial has always been the jam since way back.
And see, that was just us, like, especially in like 2004 or 5. That's when I met SkillinJah. Or actually, I went to high school with SkillinJah in the 90s, but we started getting back together around 2003 or 2004. But he introduced me. So I was a super roots guy, you know, and then SkillinJah has always been a dance hall guy. But he moved to New York after high school, and he came back to Springfield in like 2003. And some friends of his said, "Hey, have you heard this local band here in Springfield called Jah Roots?" And he was like, "No." And so they went out to come. He was like, "There's a reggae band in Springfield."
It's crazy how that happens, right? Like, you're super into reggae, and you just like there's only one reggae band in town, and you don't know who they are. It's like,
yeah.
That's crazy.
What's funny is that I didn't even know he did reggae, but until I met back up with him and he came to our show and he was like, "Hey, I'm Kyle Bell from Parkview. We went to high school together." And I was like, "Holy shit, I remember you." He was like a year older than me, but I was like, "Oh my!"
Like I picked on you.
Nah, he picked on me. Shit. No. Other way around. No, he didn't. We didn't even talk to each other. But he
I didn't like him.
we had these Black awareness assemblies at our high school in Springfield, Missouri, in the '90s. Yeah, and they would have like we had a few black kids at our school, and so they would all perform and do different things. But they would have Kyle SkillinJah come up there and he would DJ, and this is in high school. He would do like Shaggy style, and Shabba Ranks, and it just never even hit me or anything. I didn't even know what it was. I just remember when I was a kid, I was like, "That's cool." I didn't even know we had a guy at our school that could do that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So cut to like 4 years after high school, he comes to my show and he's like, "Hey, I'm Kyle Bell. And I do reggae too." And I was like, "You do?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I think I remember at the old talent shows you used to do reggae like voice." And he was like, "Yeah, I've been doing that in New York for like the last 4 years and Jamaica." He went to Jamaica. He's done Sumfest. He's done Sting, all those big shows. You can look it up on YouTube. Yeah. But he was known as Botaflex back then. But so he got picked up by Sony Records and they flew him out and signed him. And they were trying to make him like the next, who's the guy from the 90s?
Snow.
Snow. They were trying to make Skilly like the next Snow, but it never worked out. I mean, he went to Jamaica and did good and everything, but
yeah. So did he has he talked to you? You guys are close, and I was going to even ask you about him, but you pretty much just answered all my questions. But like, has he talked to you about how Jamaica went for him in terms of like how he went over there? Because that always blows my mind. You know what I mean? People are always like, "Oh, Expanders, you guys should go to Jamaica," and I'm always like, I'm too shy, to go play that kind of music in Jamaica. So how did they like him there?
Oh man, well that you can, like I said, you can look it up on YouTube. They forward it, bro. Okay. They give him, they didn't, because sometimes they get bottled and shit. And but no, bro, he's been bottled before. He told me.
Jeez,
but
wow.
Here's
I ain't
the
going.
thing. Yeah, right. He went to Jamaica.
I would bottle Roger if he went.
Yeah.
he's performed in Jamaica and been there like 2 or 3 times. But one time he was right before Hurricane Ivan, I guess, and the hurricane came while he was there, and it like destroyed the airport and shit. So he couldn't leave for like a year. Whoa. And he was also so he stayed in Jamaica for a year, bro. Yeah, so Kyle's full on like he's good to go. He knows everything there is to know, and he's done every cool show he's recorded. He's cool, man. It was really cool. So he comes back to Springfield. Sorry about Jah Roots. And he comes to the show, and I was like, "Bro, we got to have you like join the band, dude." And so he joined the band in like 2004. We did one album together, and then he got another offer to join with Sony Records again in New York. So they flew him out, and he moved back to New York again, and was doing shows with like I don't know, all the guys back in like 2006 time, Chesedek, and just whoever was popping up in New York style. But I was like, dude, we need another DJ now because he left. And so then we got this guy, Iron. And so that's Crucial and the next album, which is Joy. Yeah, and that's those 2 albums. They really did good selling, or not even selling, just giving them away mostly. But,
well, and so now do you, like, when you tour, it's almost always with, I always said SkillinJah, but you're saying SkillinJah. Is that how you pronounce it?
Dude, everybody just says it however, man. I'm from Missouri. I'm a hillbilly, so I just say SkillinJah. Skilly. But,
Skilly. Okay, let's say Skilly. So you pretty much like, does he pretty much always comes out with you when you tour?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Because I mean, I did the solo thing. I'll do solo shows still and stuff. But I just me and Skilly, like, I feel like we just have something that's so.
Oh, you do.
Awesome. And I've always, me and him together. So he left and went to New York, and I got another DJ. And we finished out Jah Roots from 2006 to 2008 with the other DJ, Iron. And that was okay. It was cool. But, I mean, this wasn't what Skilly was.
Didn't have the chemistry, yeah.
Yeah, to me, it wasn't the chemistry. Everybody will disagree with me. I'm going to have a million comments on here being like, Iron is the bomb. And he is. He's good. But
not a million.
Yeah. So, yeah, right. Anyways.
It's a reggae podcast.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so whatever. Skilly came back whenever I quit the band, and I was like, man, we should just start touring together, and it makes a really good dynamic show, you know.
Hell yeah, it does. It's like it's almost like it's it's like I just kind of articulated this to myself right now for the first time, but you would get those pairs in Jamaica of like a singer, especially in the '80s, right? Like you'd get like a duo of like there'd be a singer, a guy who sings, and a guy who DJs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Michigan, Smiley, but they were both like DJs. There are other guys that are a better example.
Orange Americans.
Yeah, or like, oh man, I don't want to take too long with like trying to reference in my mind, but you guys are kind of like a modern parallel of that, because you have a crazy good voice, and then Skilly's like the DJ
Thanks.
style, so like it works so well. And no, I mean, just like I didn't know any of that you just mentioned about Skilly. I just knew. Like I've seen him every time I've seen you, basically. So like I always thought he was dope, and I was always just like, wow, like there's this white dude, like skinny white dude who like is from Missouri, who like just acts like he's from Jamaica in terms of like his presence on stage. And now, so this makes so much sense. Like,
oh, bro,
he's so much sense.
He's recorded with man, you just have to look it up. I can't think of all these hardcore dancehall guys. He's got pictures, he's hung out, he's got videos hanging out. I'm like, bro. They totally accept him, and it's totally awesome, and his patois is perfect from living there for and so a lot of kids, a lot of people give him shit, and they're like, dude, why you're white and you're from Missouri, why are you doing patois? And it's the same thing I tell everybody. Why is Led Zeppelin, why are the Beatles singing like they're from America? It's because you emulate what you love. It's not you're not trying to steal it. It's just whatever hits you and it touches your heart. That's what you want to emulate, and make you like, you're like, that sounds cool. I want to do my version of that. And so I feel like, if you get a forward, you get a forward, bro. So you're doing something right.
I agree with you so much, because it's like if we were all into, music from a Spanish speaking country, and that's what we were so passionate about, and that's the kind of music we were covering and writing, like, wouldn't we want to, not only like learn Spanish, but like pronounce it correctly and and so it's like, it's almost like people who like are looking down on patois or something. They're like it's not a fucking real language or something, But to me, it's always like, dude, it's exactly what you just said. It's like, this is what I listen to. This is what I love. This is what I'm passionate about. And when I create music, which I'm ultimately doing for myself, and you guys are doing for yourselves, right? Because you love it. Yeah. Then you're gonna create the music you listen to. So I think you nailed it with that one, And he always like, you're absolutely right. Like his patois is perfect. Like, and this just explains it all. I was always just like, what is going on here? Like,
right.
What is happening?
I think a lot of people are, but I'm glad to explain it. I saw your PodClash with Anthony B, and I was listening to him, and you asked him about, what does he think about other races playing reggae and doing the message, and he said that's just it. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. It's the message is for everybody. And we're all representatives of our own version of the message, which is one love, So,
exactly.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, man.
I think it becomes
That's
interesting. It's reggae, man.
That's reggae.
I think it becomes interesting when you have to decipher when someone, and who am I to judge someone's love for reggae, right? But if it's a natural love for reggae, everything is gonna fall into place. Like you said, Devin. I mean, there's a love for like actually learning or being interested about patois. Not just looking at it as a novelty thing. And from the surface going, oh, why are you trying? Are you making fun of it, or you're not doing it right, or it's just novelty? It's like, this is a culture I love, and it's a part of me.
And which is not to say that that people who that some people might not be exploiting it, right? Or like, or
exactly.
There's many.
You know what I mean? So it's not, I'm definitely sympathetic to that argument, because I can see myself as such a hardcore reggae fan. If I wasn't a musician myself and was just a pure fan, I don't, I can definitely see myself being a hater in that regard, and being like, like, why are you? So, it's, I don't want to like just dismiss that just because I happen to, write in patois a lot myself.
Well,
but I just think what Josh said, it just nailed it. You know what I mean? You, just with so much in your life, ultimately, you have to just look within yourself and be honest, right? And what your motivation is, and what your, what your goal is, and why you're doing something, right? And if you're doing it because you love it, then you're doing the right thing ultimately, and you got to always, make sure you're paying respect, and you know what I mean? If you're covering another artist's tune, do what you can to make sure, if you're making a little bit of money off it, that they get, their share and all that stuff. But yeah, I think you nailed it.
Yeah, bro. I think everybody just wants to box everybody into the Ross Trent category, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, there are plenty of Ross
Well,
Trents out
there's
there.
valid. I
And
mean,
that's what I'm saying. There's like you just said, there's validity to that. So, but you can't just box everyone into the same thing.
you can't, and it's funny because over the years, like Devin said, I've been listening to reggae music for like 25 years over, and Devin, same thing. You become very protective of the music, even though I'm
Yeah.
not Jamaican. It's just
Yeah.
it's a part of your blueprint over a certain amount of years.
Oh yeah, bro.
And so I think that kind of lends itself to, segue into, I mean, man, I'm a big fan of you and your music, but geez, man, I mean, how outspoken you've been about, the racial injustice and just it's on social media, having such a voice and a presence there. That, in my eyes, is a true definition of someone who is not black, playing reggae music, loves reggae music. And by default, it's not work. You're not doing this for a pat on the back. You're not doing this because you feel obligated. You're doing this because it's a natural effect of the love of reggae music. And I just gotta, hats off to you. Not that it's something that it's like you get a reward for doing. It's something that should just be there.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
It sucks to say that I mean, after the murder of George Floyd, of course, all social media and everybody is high on emotion, and so you see everyone speaking up, or I mean, majority of people speaking up, all across musical genres. But I mean, how you would think with the reggae genre, with I'm going to pick on the American or California roots genre scene, that we would have more people.
More.
And I was thinking about this the other day. There was such, and there still is such a great potential for us, like to just be outspoken and make some crazy changes and concentrate on Black Lives Matter and concentrate. And it's like, dude, we get an F. If we were graded, we get a freaking F. If I can like count the people that are outspoken, as opposed to like, switch that and go, oh, I can count the people that weren't, outspoken or
Didn't really say anything.
and didn't really say anything. I mean, it's like, Angela Davis said, right? In a racist society, it's not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist.
Yeah.
And I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you feel that there's, a natural obligation that comes, people like us three, we're not black, but we love Jamaican music. We love reggae music. I mean, what are your thoughts on being outspoken about that?
I think it doesn't matter. I mean, as of course, that's what reggae is about. But referencing the Anthony B thing again, I heard him say, it just comes with the territory. If you play reggae, that's part of the territory. It's supposed to be. But it's a human thing. You know what I'm saying? It just boils down to like when you see wrong, you gotta speak out. And the apathy is what is the death of the world. I feel like, and just thinking that somebody else will say something, somebody else will do something. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to rock my boat. I don't want to rock my financial boat. I don't want to rock my social boat. Is just perpetuating the racism, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not standing up and doing anything. You guys know, everybody knows that. So I just feel like it is part of just reggae music. I mean, that's what reggae is. That's what Bob Marley is. That's what Rasta is. So I'm not here to. I don't want to pick on anybody in the reggae scene. Everybody has their own.
Leave it to me.
That's pretty much why Roger is on this show.
I just pick on people.
Yeah.
Well, I just think, everybody has their own way of doing things. Of course, social media is there because that's what you're supposed to be doing, is making a statement or saying how you feel, because that's your voice. But, do I wish that more people would have done something? Yeah, but like I said, I can't judge anybody. At the same time, I just hope that people will choose to use their voice.
Well, Roger and I, like, we're talking from months ago that we wanted to have you on, and one of the main reasons being because we were just like, man, like Josh is, like, we're so, it's not the right word, right? But it's like, we're so proud of Josh for all the right. things he's saying, and being so vocal. And so I was wondering, like, cause I don't really, I've lived in LA my whole life too. And of course I've traveled around, but I've never lived anywhere else. And so like being a vocal anti-racist activist in Missouri. I mean, is that like I just imagine that comes with its share of I don't know, bullshit.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Well,
like
I think that has a big part to play in the reason I am who I am is because yeah, Missouri. I don't know if you saw that video of the guy standing out on the street, and it's supposed to be the most racist city in America, and they wouldn't say what city it was, but it was Harrison or Harrison, Arkansas, I think. Anyways, it's that's about an hour away from me, and yeah, man, in my town when I was a little kid, I found out when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, my mom was going to college late in life, and she had to do a report on local history, and we found out that there was a lynching here in the early 1900s, and it was three black kids that were innocent, and a lady said that something happened, nothing happened, and they went and a mob got him, broke him out of the jail. Sheriff couldn't do anything, and they hung him here in our town square, and that hit me really hard as a kid because I went to school with black kids, and my best friend was black across the street from my house, and so I couldn't even believe it. And then like you said, growing up in Missouri, you have family, you have people around that they just don't have any couth about saying the N word, about making jokes about stuff like that, and it's just like it's very eye opening, and so yeah, when I was about 13, I was a big MTV nutbag, like every other 13-year-old was back then, and I was really into Guns N' Roses and like rock and stuff, but R&B too. Still, I was listening to like CNC Music Factory. But anyways, uh, I heard,
nice, nice, nice.
yeah, right, like everything, but that was when my life changed. Was I heard they played the Rage Against the Machine, the
Yep.
Leonard Peltier video, and I watched and I read. They played that video 1,000 times back then. Like all the damn time they played that. Rage Against Freedom is the name of the song, and it tells the whole Leonard Peltier story and the American Indian movement story, and I was instantly an activist after that. I was like, what the hell? I cannot even believe that this injustice is going on. And I started listening to Rage Against the Machine, and it was on, bro. So it's just it's always lit a fire in me. And then what's funny is that all my friends back then were into Rage Against the Machine, and it seemed like '90s were like a very activist time to me as a kid. Maybe I was disillusioned because I was just thinking it was for the older kids, but they seemed like they were more active and like fighting for the planet and doing stuff in the '90s. And then I just feel like everybody just gave up, or I don't know. It's weird, or
It's like I think what you're describing is cognitive dissonance, and I experience that a lot. Like me and Roger, like just in the reggae scene right now. It's right. It's like it's exactly what you're describing. It's like you're into this kind of music. You're even singing these lyrics, and then there seems to be no carryover into your daily life. It doesn't seem to have affected the morals that you bring into other parts of your life outside the music, and to us, I know to you, I know to Roger, it's like it's so hard to imagine that happening.
oh
You
yeah,
know what I mean? But you see it all the time. It's like, unfortunately, I'm not even surprised anymore. And not to pick on this reggae scene, because there's a lot of beautiful things in the American reggae scene and a lot of great bands doing the right thing. But, you see it, we talk about it on this show. It's like you see it in the audience a lot. People who, such and such band that plays, the reggae festivals that we all go to every year is their favorite band, and this is their scene, and yet they're straight up like all lives matter people. You know what I mean?
oh
So
yeah.
it's crazy, but
Yeah,
it's
that's what I noticed with me when I started posting myself more. With this whole thing that's going on, and all of the fans, especially fans that I even know, that I've
mm-hmm.
interacted with, that are telling me, "Dude, you're fucking wrong. You're stupid. You're a fucking idiot. I hate you. I'm deleting your music." I've gone down probably 3 or 4 thousand fans on Instagram, and I've gone down probably 5 or 6 thousand on Facebook,
Wow.
just from posting how yeah. And
Wow.
whatever, teach their own. I don't need that shit. But it's just it blows my mind. But the thing that I'm thankful for is that I noticed it before all this. Like last year, the year before, the last couple of years, I was like almost losing my want to be involved in this reggae scene because I felt like it was getting so inhabited with these people. You know what I'm saying? These people that are not hearing the message, and all these people the same people that are leaving me shitty comments and being like, I can't believe you feel this way. But I'm like, dude, I have 20 years of songs that are saying I feel this way. Like you said, they're not hearing, they're not hearing my damn lyrics. They're hearing out what I, you know what I'm saying? So it's almost just like, that's what I was saying. I've been noticing this for years. And it was starting to bother me to where I was like, how do I address this? To me, to where I felt weird about posting stuff about Black Lives Matter before George Floyd, because I knew it was going to be such a giant ordeal. Right. Or posting, not even posting that, posting how I feel about Trump, or posting just anything about how I personally feel about things. I get a sea of shut the fuck up. We're here to listen to music and not hear what you want to say, even though my music is a reflection of how I feel. That's what art is, you know? So I think I was just blown away, but at the same time, I was kind of happy that it all is out in the open now and that everybody knows how I feel and that I'm free to be who I want to be and my real true reggae self. And this is the reason I play reggae and why I play reggae.
What kind of like comment is that on like not just the reggae scene, but just like the state of humanity now, and especially Americans, and how they receive information, that they can listen to literally 20 years worth of songs and not know how you feel about an issue, and then after one like social media post, they're mad at you. Like, it's insane.
Mind is blown. Yeah, like they didn't know. I know, man. And they even post that they're like, dude, you have that song. It's called Good Vibes. And I'm like, bro, listen to the lyrics of the song. The song even says it's not all good vibes. It's people spitting in your face, but you have to keep good vibes and just deal with their bullshit. That's what they're missing. Even what the damn song's about is what, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
they get caught up in the atmosphere. You know, we've been to a million of these festivals. And they get caught up in this atmosphere of I can't wait to get there. I'm gonna dab. I'm gonna smoke weed. I'm gonna get my shot of tequila. And
he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
leave the dabs out of this, please.
No.
No, for sure. And obviously I'm not picking on that, but it's just like that's all it is to some people. That's all it is. And the music is the backdrop. That's just an upbeat, and then and it's just going on. But it's not the primary, reason.
We talked about this last week. It's the sound for a lot of people. It's the soundtrack for them to get wasted to.
Exactly.
And then so if you start to harsh their vibe by talking about anything that makes them feel uncomfortable, you know what I mean? Right. It's like then they're like, wait, what happened to good vibes? And it's like,
and I think the way the scene is, it's a testament to like regulating, like the bands over all the years. It's like, okay, if you're a bro reggae band, what are you gonna sing about? What's your content? Like, what are you gonna? And that's cool to be generic and cliche and just good vibes and smoke and red, gold, and green, and we're all happy under one whatever. But it's kind of a responsibility and a duty as well when you see that. I think I try to dissect why it would be an issue for any reggae band nowadays. Like why it would even be an issue that they don't like speak loudly about Black Lives Mattering. Up. Yeah, it seems to me like if you're gonna label yourself as a reggae band, without hesitation, you would want to overly, promote anti-racism.
Yeah,
it sucks and it's sad, and I think there's a lot of these people out there, and fans and bands included, they're just waiting for it to just get more and more diminished as far as on the headlines. And it's for them, we're waiting for it to go away. But for minority, for black people, for brown people, it's not going away. It never has gone away. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to see someone like you. You're just an example for a lot of people out there, and your fans appreciate that. It's quality connection.
That's who it's for, is for the real people that are real fans, And I'm not trying to talk shit about anybody. And, that's the thing, too, is that you can't even, like, hate on people that don't get it or are like, dude, I thought it was all about good vibes. Maybe they need that education. You know what I'm saying? Just that one little tiny bit of polite education, and it makes them think. And then,
Well,
Okay.
I mean that's the hope, right? You know, it's like you
Yeah.
would, because when you look at it and you take, you know, a really like logical magnifying lens on like what we're talking about, right? A lot of it has to do with the fact that a huge population of the reggae audience, not to say anything about the bands in the scene, are white people, right? And if you're white in America, your experience growing up is very different than people who are black or brown.
Of
And
course.
so you didn't, you know, you don't have to think about racism. You can live your life without thinking about racism. You can choose to not pay attention to it, right? Whereas black people can't. You know what I mean? As tired as a black woman may be of talking about racism, if she goes out her house, she's gonna encounter it, whether it's in a
Oh yeah.
face-to-face interaction or the way it's built into our institutions and our, you know, in a systemic way. And so, you know, you would hope that like, okay, maybe some white people in the audience who have never had to deal with it are gonna like hear my songs, and now we're having a conversation, and now, you know, maybe we can make some progress, and that's the hope. But you know, and I don't mean to be like a cynic, because in the end I do have a lot of hope for humanity, but I just feel that like what I see is like people who are, you know, I'll just say it, like Trump supporters, like I feel like a lot of their even support for Trump is not based on the things that he's for. It's based on the things that he's against. It's based on the way he stokes the hatred that they feel and enables their desire to scapegoat and to blame problems on, you know, other people. And so because that in and of itself is illogical, just on its foundation, then I find a lot of the times like this conversation we're hoping for
It's not gonna happen.
doesn't get anywhere, because
Yeah.
I mean, my wife and I were talking about this today. It's like, how do you talk to somebody like that? And there are all these things on paper that like, well, you know, maybe try it saying this and that. But like, if you're dealing with somebody who truly doesn't want to hear it, they're not interested in like hearing what you have to say to see whether or not they think it makes sense. They just don't want it to make sense right from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
not
And
to
there's
go on a
people that are
tangent, but it's
always,
just,
yeah,
yeah.
they're always going to go out of their way to see their viewpoint, to make their viewpoint work. I know there's a million of those people. They're on Facebook every day, and that's the people that were leaving me comments. And you know, sometimes you get an argument, you know, holler, and you're like, oh my god, how did I get in this hole? But you know, yeah, I
Exactly.
just like you said, you know, you just can't. There's no way to do it. I feel like that's a whole another personality type that enjoys that shit. You know, they just want to push you. They want to stoke your buttons. They don't want to hear what you have to say. But I also feel like there is people that just need to hear the right example. And for me personally, I think one of them that really works for people that are like, if black people just listened to the police and didn't do what just did what they're supposed to do, then they wouldn't get shot, dude. It doesn't even matter. I think something that hit me really hard was that I have kids. I have 3 kids, and I've never once had to sit down with them and have a talk with them about, if you get pulled over, don't do this. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Don't. I've never even had to like think about that. I just know that it's going to be okay because they're just regular ass kids. They don't do anything bad, you know? And that's the same thing with any black kid. But you know that I can't even imagine being a black parent and having to worry about a new 16-year-old black kid having to drive and getting pulled over. It's just, I think you just have to put, it's a matter of figuring out a way to put yourself in somebody else's place, you know, and having to understand their perspective.
Right.
You nailed it. I think all 3 of us agree that education is key. You know, it's not gonna be a shouting match. It's not like we're promoting a shouting match of I'm right. Like, no, I mean, you know, we know which side's right, but I'm saying it is education. It is not just to shame people that don't believe in what you believe. You know, it's to educate and teach. Yep. I just really hold a lot of clout in the potential teachers, and in this case, it's the people who are on soapboxes, people that have a voice, you know, people like bands, people, you know, I'm like I said before, you know, imagine the potential awareness that if we united, you know, like a lot of bands, you know, and I'm not going to name specifics. I know people in the chat rooms like, well, who? No, the vast majority in my book, you know, and it sucks, right? Because I'm a reggae musician and I may be shooting myself in the foot just by saying that the vast majority, but it's how I feel, because It's more than just posting a black square on what was it, June 2nd or something like that. Like we have the potential to come together and really create a big movement with a banner that says Black Lives Matter, and show people without a doubt, show all the fans without a doubt that this generation and era of reggae music is vocally anti-racist.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We don't do. I don't. And I know I don't want to disrespect people that there are people out there that are doing that. It's a blanket statement. And I realize that not everyone is
I think,
like what I'm describing, but
sorry to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
I think a lot of it has to do with money, man. I think 99% of it has to do with money. Nobody wants to lose their fans. They don't want to lose their listeners. They don't want to lose their income. Like, they don't want to lose, like, I don't know. I'm just a single guy, so it's not as crazy for me to rock my own boat. But a band, you also got 4 opinions, and you got to deal with guys like 3 guys want to put up all this Black Lives Matter stuff, but one guy's like, dude, I'm not, what I'm saying, but you don't want to lose your fucking drummer. So,
but those are priorities. But the thing is,
those are priorities. I'm not defending. Oh,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, Josh.
Yeah, I'm just
Josh,
saying.
Are you all lives matter, Josh? No, I'm joking.
I just think it's a really slippery slope for a lot of bands, and
it's not easy.
Besides their democracy amongst their band, also, like I said, their financial aspects, their sponsorships.
It is. It's crazy when you start bringing in business. You would hope that people would do what you're doing, right? But but I feel like there's a wide gulf between some of the like what you're doing, for example, and the level of like activism that we would hope to see from people, and then what some groups are like actually doing. You know what I mean? It's like, I understand. Like, I don't really understand, but like, okay, it's one thing if you want to, not go too far with it, but we're not even talking about that. Like some groups just don't even talk about it. But I think it is what it is. Like we've, all you can do at the end of the day really is like, it's this cliche, but be the change you want to see, right? You just gotta lead by example, while at the same time always understanding that we are all students as well, and none of us really know too much.
I want to be the guy that whenever I was 17, Rage Against the Machine, Bob Marley, I want to be this 17-year-old kid seeing me, seeing you, seeing all of us standing up for what we think is right and being like, I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So we are, man. We're definitely doing what's right, and we're influencing the right people. I feel like, it's just.
I love putting the pressure on still. I don't ever want to give I don't ever want to give a glimmer of hope in any band feeling content that that their silence is cool. Heck no. I want other people that I don't have any names, but I want people that, like, if we ever get back to playing music and we're in a festival, that they're kind of like, oh, there's Roger. Not for the fear factor, not for anything. You gotta pay attention to what I'm. I got a big head, big bald head, but it's the conviction. It is, because there are a lot of people. I'm not saying that the bands are majority racist, not at all. I know there's a lot of good people out there that are, but we have such a podium, and I know I'm like a broken record here, but it's an ongoing struggle, right? There's so many different there's so many different hurdles to jump. I mean, there's the actual hurdle, of equality, and then there's the actual. I think I feel it's near and dear to my heart because I've just been into reggae music so long, and to see a movement like this modern reggae movement kind of get established within the last however many years,
and have financial success,
and have the tools. That's where it comes from. It's just like, and I'm Mexican. I'm not even black. I mean, I still go through what I go through being Mexican, but like, geez, you can't sit back and like play black music and everything you have, you owe it to Jamaican music, and then not feel overly.
There you go. Nice.
Wearing that shirt today.
Beautiful.
Love black. Yeah, man.
Beautiful.
Love black people like you love black culture.
Heck, it's true,
man.
man.
That's like.
It's so true, and it's common sense.
Those are important words. You know what I mean? It's like because anybody, I don't care who you are or who you came to see or what your political views are, if you're going to like any of these American reggae festivals, whether you're as an audience member or as a performer, you are loving black culture because that's where this music comes from, you know. But it's like then you don't want to talk about like what black people are going through, or God forbid, like your own, you know, role in maintaining that status quo. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
it's important. I could talk about this for like hours and hours, but since we have a limited time, I do have some more musical questions for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know people want to know some stuff. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is your rooftop sessions. Anybody who follows Josh, you know, knows that he does this. He has some videos that he does a thing called rooftop sessions where bands will come through and crash at your house, which is a whole other thing in and of itself. Like Josh is. It's like if anyone's like a Lord of the Rings or like Hobbit fan, like there's an area called Rivendell where it's like the last homely house, and it's like if you're out like adventuring, like that's like the last place, like that's like this little refuge in the middle of nowhere that you can like go and be safe and like be homely, and it's nice. And I always think of your house is like Rivendell. You should get like a little plaque or something. But it's like bands out there traveling the country, and you know, especially from LA, you know, you're like, dang, we're in Missouri, like I don't know what's gonna happen. And then you can go to Josh's house. I mean, with your permission, I'm not saying everyone just go show up at Josh's house, but you know, he lets, you know, Josh has let a lot of bands crash at his place, and there'll be like a jam session downstairs. Last time Expanders came through, we jammed with your son. He was playing bass. Remember that?
Damn.
Yeah, bro.
And then we'll get on the roof and video Josh and the band singing a song, and it's called Rooftop Sessions, and it became a series. And so I just wanted to ask you about that, you know, how that started, some of the notable groups you've had come through and, you know, stay at your place and do the rooftop sessions with you.
Yeah. We used to have another house. We moved into this house, and so we haven't really done it since we moved here. But yeah, the other house we used to do it because we had like a A-frame kind of house, so the roof came down real low. So you could get up there, and yeah, we had several people come through and do it, but yeah, it just turned out to be a cool thing. And then a lot of people thought it was a song, and they're like, what's that rooftop session? And so I made a song called Rooftop Session too.
Right.
But
Nice.
yeah, but yeah, just kind of talking about, you know, how wonderful it is to jam on the roof. It's such a beautiful feeling, you know. And I don't remember who the first person was that came to my house, but I was like, me and my wife used to get up there and hang out, and I would play guitar and jam for her. And then one day I was just like, damn, we should take the bands up there and film a jam session up there. And yeah, I just started doing it. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
And then the refrigerator came next, and then the couches came next, and then the ferns came out.
Yeah, right?
You know, those ferns. I do remember them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
No,
Devin,
but
Devin, you said you went and you went to Josh's pad,
a
right?
couple times. So here's my two quick stories. The first time we stayed at Josh's place, and I think it's when we did the rooftop sessions. We were on tour. Oh, you were there, Raj. You were there, but you didn't stay with us that day or something.
Was I sleeping in the van because I was hungover?
You were sleeping in the van. Yeah, Roger.
Oh,
was there.
dude.
That was the tour with
Josh.
Slightly Stupid, where we stayed at Josh's house.
We
And I
almost
remember that.
connected.
Was it the
you almost did.
first night of Stupid when I came back on the tour with you guys? Or
It was like, it was that Slightly Stupid tour, and you
'Cause remember
slept
I had
in
a-
the van.
But I had to dip. I had to fly from LA to
Yeah,
meet up
yeah.
with you guys because I had shows in LA. So was it that? I forget, man.
I don't remember what it was, but now I do remember. As I'm telling this, I'm like, wait, Roger was
Dang,
there.
if I can go back
But-
in time, Josh, I messed up.
You messed up. You messed up. So, but I remember. Do you remember, Raj, that the day, like, so my two notable experiences from that, like, 48 hours was like we were on tour with Slightly Stupid, and we played the show, and then we crashed at Josh's house, and we did it might have been a day off, actually, and we did the rooftop sessions thing. But then I think the next day we got in the car and started driving. And one of the reasons we had stopped at your house, Josh, when we did, is because we read that there was going to be a tornado, like on the route that we were taking to wherever we were going to, you know? So we were like, maybe we shouldn't drive through there. Let's stay, like Nathaniel, you know, Ross Maris was our tour manager, and he was like, oh, you know, I can hit up Josh. So we stayed. And it turned out, for many reasons, to be a good idea, because the next day we got on the road. And, you know, I'm from LA. We have earthquakes and fires, but we don't have tornadoes. So I don't really have any experience with that. And we got on the road and we drove through the area where the tornado was. And there were we were seeing 18-wheelers just flipped over on the side of the road. Yeah. There was this little town on the side of the road just wiped out. Like, it was insane. And we all kind of like just got quiet driving through, like, damn, it's a good thing we stopped at Josh's house, because that would have been us. So I remember those are like my two memories of your house that first time. And then the second time we came through was not too, which is a couple years ago, and your son was like starting to play bass, and we filmed that jam session. People can go find that on, I think probably your Instagram and the Expander's Instagram. Yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah, we still have a board on our which you guys signed on our by our front door. It's like
Oh,
a little,
nice. Yes.
yeah, it's still on there right now.
Is
But
is he still playing
yeah.
bass?
Oh, bro, he's playing everything. I just bought him a slide guitar because he's
Nice.
yeah, we watched La Bamba and he got into the whole sleepwalk thing and he was
Yeah.
he's like, what is that? And I was like, it's a slide guitar, but it's like it's a lap, it's a lap steel guitar or whatever. And I showed it to him on YouTube, and he was like, "Damn, I gotta get one of those someday." So I went on Amazon, and I was
Nice.
like, "Buy."
That's dope, dude.
Yeah, well, they're only like $150 for like a beginner one. So
Still, yeah.
I was like, "Dude, I gotta get it." So I got it for him, dude. Literally the next day, he had that song down.
Well,
No kidding.
Perfect, bro. The kid is like a musical genius. I'm not trying to brag, but
did his nickname stick? I don't know if you remember, but we were
Hot
we were
Milk
playing-
Heinrichs,
yeah.
bro. Yeah, bro.
Yes,
What?
because Rod, we were
Dun,
playing the
dun,
Hot
dun.
Milk rhythm, the do 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 boom boom,
Yeah.
boom 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 boom,
Yeah.
and so like we showed him that on bass, or he knew it already, right? That was like the
Yeah,
rhythm
yeah.
he knew, and
Yeah, that's what
there's a
it is.
video of like it's Asher on drums, Josh's son on bass playing the Hot Milk rhythm,
Right.
and like I think I'm playing guitar and Roy's playing keys, and like I was singing some stuff. And
Yeah,
so
bro.
we dubbed him Hot Milk Heinrichs.
Nice.
I'm glad to hear that it stuck.
Oh yeah, yeah, bro.
Hot
He loves
Milk
it.
Heinrichs.
Oh, that's
Love
awesome. I do have another question, Raj. I don't want to step on your
No,
toes here.
step. man.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to ask you about is like, so this might just be me perceiving this, so you can set me straight if I got this wrong, but like, you seem to be popular, to have a lot of popularity like in the islands, like in Hawaii and Guam. I know you've been out to Guam a couple times, right? And so, first of all, is that true? And second of all, like if so, like how did that like Josh Heinrichs like Hawaii and Guam connection come about?
I don't know how popular I am. I have no idea, but I've toured Hawaii 8 times now.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know why. The very, very, very first time I went to it's all with the Jah Roots thing too, man. They really were receptive to Jah Roots on the internet. Hawaii was, and we found out when I was in Jah Roots that they were playing our music on the radio over there. Spliff and My Lady. We have a song that was called
Nice.
Spliff and My Lady. Yeah, they were playing the shit out of that. And then I started seeing videos pop up on YouTube of Hawaiian bands covering our songs. And I was like, wow. And then I saw some bands from Guam covering our songs. And I was like, damn, that means it's getting out there. And then I don't know if you know that guy, Jah Reggae Shop in Guam. And I can't remember his name. He's from
Gumby or no?
no, it's he's like a professor. It's a white guy. He's like he has a reggae show in Guam.
Oh, in Guam, in Guam. Okay, you said in Guam. No, I don't know. No.
Okay, well he's like a really hardcore roots dude, and he also has a shop out there. But I cannot remember what his name is. But he would send me a playlist every week for years and years, for like 3 or 4 years. And every week he'd be playing a Jah Roots song on the radio in Guam.
Nice.
Yeah, and so anyways, long story short, the very first tour I went to Hawaii in 2009, I think, I went into a bar on my night off. And me and the Stranger guys, I was with the band Stranger. I was out there with them.
Yeah.
And we walked into this bar in Kauai. That's one of the smaller islands.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, and we were just having to play an acoustic show there. But we walked into this bar, and there's a band jamming of all these Hawaiian teenage kids, and they're fucking jamming my song, bro. Spliffing My
Whoa.
Lady. Yeah, and I was like,
So
oh,
did you go
shit.
talk to him?
No, as soon as I walked in, they were like, holy shit, Josh Heinrichs, come on stage, come on stage. Yeah, so I went up there and did a verse.
Perfect.
Yeah, but I was just like,
Dope.
damn. And then so when I got there, I heard my song on the radio a few times and on the different islands. And still since then, it's done. I've played 2 or 3 of the major rages and stuff like that. But when I went to Guam the very first time, they go bananas for reggae over there, man. And they probably have 2 or 3 different channels that are like fully reggae. And besides, also Hawaii does too. I know you guys know that.
Yeah.
But for the listeners that don't know that, they actually have 24/7 reggae stations, like America has rock stations. But in Guam, I have never heard. Dude, they were playing songs that I couldn't even remember that I recorded. Like I was like, holy
Wow.
shit! Like yeah, they were playing my whole catalog, and that's a lot of damn songs. So I was tripping, man. I couldn't believe
That's
it.
so cool, dude.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's because I was just coming there to jam, so they were pumping everybody up. But I mean, I know they play it, but how it happened, I have no idea. I think it's just from back in the MySpace days, from sending out CDs, and I've also been a big Psycho Hawaiian reggae fan, and so I was always trying to talk to them, work with them, Ukla the Mock, everybody,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm also kind of a fanboy, so I write to bands and shit. And I'm like, you guys are amazing. I love you. I don't.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
I don't know if
bro.
you saw it. Last week we had Leslie Ludiaso, of Hot Rain Band, and
Yeah,
Zion,
bro.
and Zion Thompson from the Green on, and did a cool Hawaiian reggae spotlight. What are some of your other, like you mentioned Ukla, that they're like one of my favorite bands too. What are some other Hawaiian groups you love?
The Green, everybody. That's the coolest story. Is the second time I went to Hawaii, I went with Cass Haley, who's my
Nice.
brother, and we went out there together because we had just made this album together called Favorites that never got released. But we went out there, and the Green had just released their very first album with Love Eye and stuff on there. Yeah, and they were having their CD release party at the Pipeline Cafe, which is a 1,000-person venue in Honolulu. And they found out we were in Hawaii to do some acoustic gigs. And so they're like, you guys should come to our show and we'll back you up. And we'll play Walking on the Moon for Cass and Spliffing My Lady for me. And so we went there. It was sold out. And the Green backed us. And we played our 2 songs at the Green CD release party. So that was 2010. So I think just shit like that has really helped me get my name out there in Hawaii, especially, But bands that I love in Hawaii? Everybody, man. I think it's really weird in Hawaii how they have like a separation of roots and like pop Hawaiian.
We talked about that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all reggae and it's all amazing and beautiful. I know the roots guys, the Rasta guys hate the pop stuff, but you can't deny good music. So
It's interesting to hear your take on it. Yeah, they were talking about that a lot. If people want to go back and hear some elaborations on that specific subject, they can go watch our episode last week, because we definitely talked about that, like what you just brought up a lot.
Or they can listen to it on all podcast platforms.
Please subscribe and review.
And then it's your job, Josh, to be like, what was that again? And then we say it again. Yeah. The Reggae PodClash.com.
What's that podcast?
Yeah.
How can they hear it?
For like 5 minutes straight, we just do all that. Josh, you mentioned that you have a lot of music you put out. Like, give us an idea of like how many CDs or albums, rather, complete albums, or because I noticed you put out some singles like the Resist. That's a single, right? That's
no, that's an EP.
Oh, it's an EP. My bad.
Yeah.
But as far as like and I was on Spotify looking at all and everything.
Yeah, I have. I probably have like 4 or 5 EPs and probably about 10 to 15 albums with Jah Roots. Yeah.
Wow.
I put out 5 albums with Jah Roots, and then I think I've put out between 5 and 10 solo albums, and then EPs too. So, yeah.
With that much music, are you? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you're the primary songwriter.
Yeah, I wrote every single song.
Do you ever? Wow, that's a lot of music. Do you ever have to like find new ways to write music? Does it come natural to you?
No, I never do, man, and that might be not a good thing, but people might be like, "Dude, I mean, that's a sound."
Whatever you're doing, you're doing it right.
Hey,
Right.
Thanks, man. I think that's. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I should try something new, but at the same time, I think that's a style. That's your sound. That's what people know you for, and and if you're doing good, if you're successful, or if people are liking it, then why miss? I get discouraged listening to other bands that do that. They're like, they had a really great first album, and they're like, for the second album, we didn't want to do all reggae this time. We wanted to like incorporate some jazz or some rock.
Right.
I'm like, what? Like, no, dog. The first album was fucking gold, bro. Like, keep doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right about that.
So I just stick to me, man, and what works for me. And luckily, I have a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, and a beautiful life, and I'm just happy. I smoke weed and enjoy myself, and I think that's a really great recipe for always having a song on the burner,
I think that's what you just said is such good advice for like a band or artists out there aspiring or whatever. It's like, I think a lot of times when you're in it yourself, right, and you're in that bubble of your own music and your own career, you think like, okay, like people are gonna get bored of one thing, so I gotta change it up and give them some variation. But what you don't realize is like, dude, if people get bored, they can go listen to another band. Like you're not the only band people are listening to. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
if you keep that in mind, it's like be like, if you're doing, if you're like Josh Heinrich style reggae, it's like be the Josh Heinrich style reggae in that person's life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they know that like, they can always go back. And if you are personally creatively wanting to do something else, like that's, it is what it is. But it's like this feeling, like this need to switch it up. It's like, don't worry about other people. Like they'll go listen to another band for a while if they get sick of you. You know what I mean? Do your thing.
Oh, that's guaranteed.
Right.
I mean, I think that's sorry not to go off subject, but I think that's something that a lot of bands need to hear that I wanted to talk about that I forgot to mention. Is that a lot of bands give me grief all the time. Not even bands, but just people all the time. Like, dude, you're such a internet nerd. You're always on social media. You're always posting. You're always on. And I'm like, bro, you know that you have favorite bands right now. You have a band that you love, that you can sit here and love, like Stevie Wonder or something. But you don't follow them on Instagram. You don't follow them on Facebook because you forgot to. You didn't think about it because it's not fresh in your head. So I just always want to stay fresh. And I always want to just like have something to post. Even if it's a music video that I've already posted 23 times. I'm going to post it the 24th time because maybe somebody wasn't a fan last week and now they're seeing it for the first time. And I know that's true because I get new sales every single day. And I'm just like, who the fuck is still buying my music that, after 20 years? But it's always selling, thank God. But that's what I'm saying is staying consistent, putting out music and not, just do you and don't worry about other people, and
And you're doing it so natural too. It's so organic, it's not coming from a commercial standpoint where it's like, this is what you need to do for your marketing to be on point and this and that. Like, dude, Josh, everything is just natural. Everything that I've seen and your flow of the posts on social media, and it just comes off not too abrasive. I mean, it's informative. Your fans do want you to post that amount of times and whatnot,
Yeah, well, I hope.
For sure. And that and even the music, how you touched on the music earlier, and staying consistent with who you are as a songwriter and everything. That is what builds a loyal fan base. Not someone who's here today and gone tomorrow. Not a one-hit wonder or whatever. It's a loyal fan base. It's going to build longevity for you as an artist, and that's a whole other thing, more artists need to do too, is like find your sound, your what your band's about, and if you're a band, then what's everybody's ingredient, and you create this dish and own it, and people will either like it or not, don't have to change for them.
I think it's really crucial to be timeless too. I mean, with your music, I know people are going to use whatever they want to use for whatever technology is available and stuff, but I think drums, bass, and guitar and keys, and timeless instruments are always going to sound timeless. And so I think a lot of people get mixed up in that, or even using crazy lyrics that are so relevant to right now. Can you imagine people being like, I got my pager, like back in the 90s, it sounds very 90s. I got my pager. Like, I don't know. My whole point is I think timeless music is also very relevant, and to stay timeless with your music and not be caught up in, like you were saying, the Joneses and other bands and what's everybody else doing, and they got synth pads and they got this shit and they got this effect and they're using this vocal and I don't know.
I was in a studio in 1999, and we were recording some music that never came out because it was horrible, but we got to the studio that day and the engineer was like, "Hey, you guys, we can't do the session today because Ika Mouse is actually coming through, but you guys are like welcome to stay and like listen to him, like watch his session." So we were like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah." We'll we were like in high school. We were like, "Oh, we'll stay and watch Ika Mouse." And he had a song called Cellular Phone, like, what you're talking about like page, dated lyrical subjects. And this was like, the song was called Cellular Phone because this was like a big deal that he had a cellular phone.
Yeah.
And it was like the hook was like, "Bad boy don't talk business" on his cellular phone. And, a testament to your point, that song did not become a classic Ika Mouse tune.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's like, I'm trying to wrap it all back up, but that's what I was saying is like, I was telling myself, like, I wonder who's still buying my music after 20 years, but that goes to say it's like Bob Marley, like all these guys, it's timeless. It's always sounds the same. It's their sound. It's right. So that's what my whole point was. Is
right. No, it's true. Which is not to say that there isn't something to be said for a nice topical specific song. You know, you
Yeah,
got,
like
yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Gregory Isaacs has that hit, you know, Pawn Me Pager, you know.
no, but like
I don't know
you
what
think
you guys
about
are
like
talking about.
no, but
No,
like
I mean, I've used auto tune. I mean, I've done it all too. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
But it's you learn, I guess.
You have
is
never
what I'm
used
saying.
auto tune, Josh. You do not need auto tune.
I did. I got when it first came out. The producer I was working with he put it on one of the songs, and I was like, "Oh my god, that sounds dope, though." So we left it on.
That's kind of cool, man. I kind of like that because, like, okay, so being in like growing up in the reggae scene in LA, like you would have gotten, I don't know, jumped or something if you used auto tune. And I say that I'm not like proud of that. It's like there is this, you know, there's a lot of dope things about the LA reggae scene, like, and I love it, like, you know. I'm always like proud to rep the LA reggae scene, but it's definitely a very like snobby scene. Like it's into like ska and rocksteady and early reggae, and like, you know, do things the way they did it in like old school Jamaican music. And so like I've definitely been in like, because Expanders never had any auto tune on anything, and I'm glad we didn't, because it forced us to you know, to really like examine ourselves and like learn how to sing, and you know. But at the same time, it's like, who knows what we would have like felt free to do creatively if we had like just not had that stigma, you know, and be like, yeah, put some autotune on that shit. Like, it's good, you know, like,
Yeah,
it is a cool effect sometimes. I'm a big fan of like, you know, shit, and like, you know, you listen to like, you know, you can hear it on like Marlon Asher, like big up Marlon Asher, like on Ganja Farmer, you know what I mean? It's like, it's there not as a crutch, it's there as an effect, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it makes it sound cool. And I'm a fan of that a lot, you know. I think there's a place for that for sure.
There's a time and a place for everything.
And I'm
bro.
waiting, you know. If anyone out there wants to like send me a rhythm and hook up some crazy autotune, I'm into it. I want to do it. I want to do it.
You know what's funny is you know the song that has autotune? It's the song I did with Caleb from The Green. It's called Can't Get High. So check it out. We both have auto tune on our voice for that song, but it's like an effect, not for our voice. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, it could be used as an effect in a cool way.
Because
it's got like
it's drum machines and shit. You know, it's like more like a newer kind of sounding song.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Speaking of staying timeless.
Hey, you gotta break the rules.
Right. My own rules.
Yeah. Alton Ellis used auto tune, so I'm cool.
No, he didn't. He certainly did not. Well, Roger. Nate from Ayaterra's on. He says, "Dev, I'll auto-tune you. Let's go." All right, I'm holding you to it. Let's do it.
Yes.
Big up, Nate.
Yeah, big up, Nate. He was our second or third guest or something.
Wow, it was
second
early
guest,
on
I think,
for sure.
right?
Yeah.
Hey,
that was so much fun. He was moving.
Yeah.
I got a cool Nate story real fast.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you got time.
Yeah, we got time.
We're on tour with 4-piece band and Fortunate Youth and Ayaterra and me. That's right. And one time after a show, I think it was in like New Mexico or something, me and Nate were hanging out after the show. The whole show was over and everybody was packed up and we were getting ready to leave. But before we left, some of the fans were on a building on the rooftop across the street and they were singing my songs to us, you know, like from the roof. And so we went up there and jammed with them for like an hour, bro. It was rad.
Nice.
But
hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Me and Nate had a great time. That's good times.
That's a homie.
Yeah, bro. We had a good time. He came here and jammed too, man, with my kids. So it was pretty cool, man.
Beautiful. Cesar Camacho, big up Cesar. He says, Josh, what is your go-to barbecue spot in Missouri?
Well, you wouldn't believe it, but I haven't eaten meat in almost 20 years. I'm just a fat vegetarian.
All right.
Lots of carbs.
Okay. Well, sorry, Cesar.
Sorry,
Caesar.
That's cool. Dang, you're a white anti-racist vegetarian in Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah, I'm about the weirdest dude.
You
here.
are broken the mold. That's dope, dude. Me and my wife go through like periods of vegetarianism. That's like our goal is to be vegetarians. And we've even like a couple times we've done it long enough where we're like, okay, we got it. That's it. Like we did it. We're vegetarians now. Hell no. We always go back. But one of these days.
Yep. Well, to each their own, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Raj, what do you think? Is it time for lightning round?
Yeah, lightning round.
All right.
I'm gonna insert like a music jingle next time we do lightning round.
Well, Josh,
rapid fire question.
We didn't tell you about this beforehand, but we like to end each segment by asking our guests some quick, rapid, yes or no questions.
I'm liking what's going on right here.
I know,
Josh is
he's
on a
taking us to
mission.
the-
And I'm liking it.
Where are you taking us?
My dogs are barking.
Oh,
Gotta let
okay.
'em out.
Like, you mean like your feet hurt, or like actually your dogs
No,
are barking?
my actual literal dogs
Oh,
were
okay.
Oh.
wanting back inside.
That's good.
All right, well, so we're gonna shoot some rapid fire questions at you, and
All right.
and the goal here is to like not elaborate, not to take time, just quick, like just
Boom.
rapid fire. Okay, Raj, you can go first.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
Devin? If they're gonna go quick,
I
we
know,
gotta
I know.
do our.
Yeah. I always fuck up. Okay,
It's all good.
cornbread or biscuits?
Biscuits.
Indica or sativa?
Indica. I like to get real high.
Damn. Now I do want him to elaborate. Okay, full moon or new moon?
Full moon.
Wow, that's
Think about those stars, though. You got to think about those stars. Go ahead, bro.
Whiskey or tequila?
Whiskey. I guess I don't drink hard alcohol, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you drink at all? That's just that's not part
I
of it.
did. I was drinking. I did drink for a long time, but I haven't drank in a year. Now I quit drinking actually.
Okay,
Because
okay.
I wanted to lose weight and start running. I used to be a runner, and I wanted to run again and shit. And so I was like, I'm gonna quit drinking for a while, and I just haven't picked it up since then. So
All right, nice. Well, good for
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Proud to you.
Okay, Nelson or Millhouse?
Nelson.
All right.
Wow. Okay. You gotta get- texting or talking?
Texting. I don't like to get myself involved too deep in a conversation sometimes.
There you go.
Okay, I do have to preface this next question because I'm only asking it because I know we're all like the same age. So we'll see how this goes. My Buddy or Teddy Ruxpin?
Teddy Ruxpin, I have one.
Yes.
Dang.
All right. Beautiful.
I would have threw in the wrestling buddy too. You guys remember wrestling
I had
buddies?
that. The wrestling pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the Ultimate
Damn.
Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior.
Damn,
Yeah.
Ted
I haven't thought
DiBiase.
of that in 25 years.
Telling you, man, wrestling buddies.
Yep.
I would have so
Wow.
mad. I'll get you a
30
wrestling
years.
buddy. Christmas, Devin.
All right.
I'll get
I'm
you
gonna
both a
expect it.
wrestling
I'm gonna
buddies.
expect it.
Josh, you're getting a wrestling buddy.
Well,
Yes,
that's
I-
like
Devin, you're getting a wrestling buddy.
that's like what we get our guests that come on the show. Okay, I think we got
Wrestling
a couple
buddies.
more, right? Raj, go ahead.
Oh, I got one more. Here we go.
Okay.
Josh.
That's my
Oh,
son.
what's cracking?
Oh, yeah.
Dang.
Is that hot milk?
Hot milk
Yep,
and
that's
house.
Austin.
Yes.
He's driving now. He's got his own
Dang.
car. You know?
It's crazy. So, vegetarian, no drinking, but I'm hoping you do eat cereal. What's your favorite cereal?
Oh, frosted wheats. What are they called?
Yeah, frosted
Yeah.
mini shredded
Wheats,
wheats.
mini wheats.
Shredded mini
Yeah,
wheats.
frosted mini
Yeah.
wheats. Yeah, I'm still eating
those
are
sugar
good.
cereal. I'm a bad boy.
Okay, so it's my turn for the last one. Okay, so I'm going to do a reggae question. And I know this is hard. But I feel like these are kind of polar opposites. Okay, Burning
Polar.
Spear. And you, by the way, you can see I redecorated. I got all Burning Spear behind me today. Burning Spear or Dennis Brown?
Oh, I'm a big Dennis Brown dude. As a singer.
Yeah,
You know,
I thought. See,
I-
that's why
I
I
love
picked those
Burning
two.
Spear.
There's no wrong answer there, huh? It's just
No, that's why I
wow.
picked those two for Josh because it's
Right.
like Burning Spear is, like we're not
Message.
talking about the quality of like people's music or anything, but like Burning
Right,
Spear, it's like he's got a voice. He's not necessarily like a singer, right? Dennis Brown is like arguably the best voice in Jamaican music,
Prince
like,
of
in terms of
reggae,
a
right?
singer and sing any song. He could sing "Mary Had a Little Lamb," and you're like, damn, like, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis Emmanuel Brown.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Mary had a little lamb. Well, I think
Yeah,
that's all.
man.
I don't have any more. Do you have?
I do. I mean, Care Bears or Pound Puppies?
Oh no,
Pound
he's
puppies.
gonna go.
I had a
He's gonna
pound
go.
puppy.
I had a
Oh
bunch of
my
Pound
gosh,
Puppies.
pound it.
Me and
Yeah.
John Butcher from the Expanders, we grew up together, and they just had like pound puppies at their house, like
Oh, yeah.
they're like pound
I'll
puppies.
tell him about that pound. It's like, all right,
Yeah,
dude.
so I had a bunch of questions like that, just because I like I like questions. I like when like we have like someone on our age and you can like ask those throwback questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh
bro.
jeez. Well, see now
Yes,
all those
sir.
pound puppies at Butcher's house are worth millions.
That million,
He's gonna
no.
go on eBay and sell all those things. Like me and my Beanie Baby collection, I'll sell them one day.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
You
No,
know.
we were too old for Beanie Babies, I think.
Ah,
No.
yeah, we were.
Well, that was my first job at McDonald's when I was like 15 or 16, and they came out with all those damn Beanie Babies, and people used to come up there and go ape shit and get mad at me if we didn't have them.
Oh,
man.
no, oh, dude.
That
I
was
can
my
only
experience.
imagine. I could only imagine. I want the rainbow beanie.
Yeah,
They come
old
back
ladies
around.
get mad.
They come
Yeah.
back through and they're like, no.
Yeah, right.
You gave me yeah. I could see that. I could
Dude.
see that.
Well,
Nice.
Josh, hey, thank you so much for coming on, man. Really,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
like
man.
miss you. Can't wait till this quarantine is over. We didn't even ask you any quarantine questions. Next time we'll have to ask you when this is all over. I'll have you back on and ask how this whole thing went for you. But you know, when this is over, I can't wait to like come and hit me up if you're in LA. You can crash at my house. Like it's about time
on.
someone put Josh up at their house.
Come over here. We
Nice.
got the
Thank you,
Right.
brother. Thank you.
Well, yeah, for sure, dude. You're the real deal, and like Devin said, we've been wanting to get you on the show for a while, and thank you for being on the show and
hell
continue
yeah.
being you, dude.
Shit, Seth started saying that before we end, we got to do a freeze frame. So this is something that Kyle from Slightly Stupid
Oh yeah,
made up. So like I don't know, you take a drink of your water or something, but we're just gonna do a freeze. Okay,
whether
ready?
we freeze.
1, 2, 3. Hey.
Oh,
okay.
it's a little-
That was good.
it's like Nardwart. Is it? You guys know who Nardwart is? He's like some
No.
dude. Okay, never mind. That's a whole other
Who's
conversation.
Nardwar?
Nardwart. I'm gonna send you a link. It's some dude that does interviews and he's on YouTube. But at the end, he does the same thing. He like has
okay.
everyone pause, but he'll go till like the guest, like to see what their maximum is as far as pausing.
Yeah, I don't have that like trolling vein in me.
Yeah, I don't.
You
Yeah,
know,
we're not
that
trying.
like
to,
let's make this as awkward as possible.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I get uncomfortable too fast. Well, Josh,
Well,
just
thanks.
real quick before we let you go, man, like you want to tell the people like how they can support you best right now, like what your latest thing out is, or what's where people can go to check out new Josh, or just to support you in general.
Yeah, just listen to my music on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. We just had a new album come out in February called Resist, and it's an
Yep.
EP, and it's got Natalie Rise, Bobby Hustle, and Article
Nice.
Sound System.
You
It's cool. Yeah, if you want to, that's the best way to support me, man. Just go listen to my music.
beautiful.
Dope.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, great talking
Yep.
to you, man.
Thank you
Yeah,
guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
for
dude.
sure, man.
We'll
talk
see
to
you
you. We'll
later.
see you, brother.
sooner than later, hopefully.
All right, man.
All right, dude. Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Yeah,
That
Devin.
was the great Josh Heinrichs.
Yeah, amazing
was-
cat.
I know, man. It's so fun.
Really dope,
I love
dude.
Josh. And I just I know we keep saying this like each week, but just every time I have someone on that like I know, like a friend that I missed or whatever, it just makes me miss like music so much. It makes me miss like touring, and
Right.
I never thought I would miss touring, but I do miss it.
It becomes more and more. I think we go through cycles, right? We're like, oh, we're gonna be on the road again pretty soon, and then you get like, oh no,
yeah.
I may not tour for so long, and then you go like, stop it, you're gonna be back on the road before you know it, and then you go, I don't know about that. So
Exactly.
see what happens. Yeah, I
Well,
miss the road too.
Me too, man. And before too many people drop off here, now that Josh
Yeah,
is
man.
gone, we want to tell everybody about a very special guest we have next week that we're super, super stoked about. Mr. Vin Gordon. Vin Gordon, if you don't know, is the trombone player from Jamaica in reggae. In reggae music, starting in 1969, thereabouts. If you hear trombone in reggae, it's almost definitely Vin Gordon.
Right.
And he is he's a hero of both Roger and I, foundation Jamaican musician, and he's going to be on the show next week. So whether you know of him or whether if you're just a fan of reggae music, you're going to want to tune in next week because it's rare that we get a chance to talk to somebody like Vin who has the kind of stories that he's going to have. So please tune in next week for Mr. Vin Gordon.
Major ingredient in Jamaican music. His nickname is Don Drummond Jr. So as far as trombone in Jamaican music, you're either talking Don Drummond, Rico Rodriguez, or Vin Gordon.
That's right.
Sorry if I missed anybody, but
Yeah, and I left out Rico in my sentence because Don Drummond. Obviously, we'll talk about this a little bit next week, but he was in ska, and then he wasn't. By the time reggae came along, Don Drummond was no longer
Right.
with us. So I mean, it's like really Vin Gordon and Rico Rodriguez were like the trombone players you would hear.
and Vin more so because I know
Yeah.
Rico. I kind of took like a little detour in his professional career. Like for whatever reason, man, all those recordings you hear, Vin is the man, and wow, he just defined it. So I'm stoked for that one for sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you can go look him up this week. You can if you just look up Sound Dimension, research Sound Dimension. If you hear horns, that'll be Vin Gordon. But if you actually just look up Vin Gordon, he's just got a lot of instrumental trombone style, like dark minor chord rootsy stuff from the mid 70s. I'm blanking on the
Also-
name. What's the Studio One tune that's Vin Gordon? That's like Red Blood, I think. Expanders used to do it. I don't know if that's
Ooh,
the actual
okay,
name of it,
okay.
but
Yeah.
it's oh, I'm blanking on it so hard. Expanders used to cover it all the time, but it's you like some of these tunes you'll just notice they were hits in and of themselves.
And
Instrumentals.
we must add that this is a special show. We're going to be going live at
Right.
noon. Mr. Vin
Thank you.
Gordon
Thank
he lives in Paris. So that's pretty dope, first
Yeah.
off. Right? But, we want to make sure he's not like doing this at 4 a.m. So, we definitely can conform and change the time up a little bit. So anyone and we're going to be advertising this throughout the week. So we'll just be reiterating it over and over. But
Yeah.
we're going to be going on. It's going to be noon, 12 o'clock PT time. And that would be 3 o'clock for you ET cats. And
And
yeah.
9 p.m. in Paris. That's why we're doing it. So he
9
doesn't have to
p.m.
get
in
up,
Paris,
as Roger
yeah.
said. So we don't make, Mr. Vin Gordon get up at 4 a.m.
yes, that's a crazy.
Yeah. So next week, Reggae PodClash will be live at noon Pacific time with Vin Gordon.
Yes, man.
And so, real quick, Raj, as
Yeah,
always, we like to, I'd like to ask you what you got going on this week. How can people check you out before if they can't wait a whole week to see you?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Could scope me out on livelessonmasters.com. Go check that out. You can, book some time with me and get to show you some cool things. I got a whole list of stuff that I'm offering as far as, getting on a Zoom meeting and whatnot, whether it's production, whether it's keyboard playing, Jamaican history, all kinds of cool stuff. Also did some new music with Agent J from the Slackers. He's AKA is Crazy Bald Head.
Mm-hmm.
So go check him out. Go support him. Right now, musicians, we usually be making money while touring or merchandise. And these are the realities. No one's making money off Spotify. When you go and listen to an artist on Spotify, it's like, for whatever reason, it's not going back in the musician's pocket. So things like Bandcamp is really important if you want to support an artist. And I know they run special deals where they don't take their percentage or commission, whatever. So, yeah. Devin, how was the songbook? Did you have some songbook sessions? Did you already rock it?
I think you're talking about like backstage music lessons, right?
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So, no, I did my first lesson this last Monday, and we're going to continue to do some. I met a really, really nice fellow who wants to take some,
Nice.
do some like songwriting sessions, which is dope, So
Dude.
if anyone's interested in like, and some other people hit me up after we mentioned it last week, but if anyone's interested in like writing, like, working on songwriting, working on vocals, working on harmonies, working on like reggae guitar, go to backstagemusiclessons.com. You'll find me there, and we can do some lessons. Because as Roger said, musicians make their money from touring, and right now, we got to figure out other ways to do it. And just the money part aside, it's like we would just want to like be playing music again and like talking to people about music. And I miss like meeting people at shows, So like the session I did on Monday, it was just like us, me and the guy we're gonna do some lessons with, just getting to know each other, like a little hangout session, and it was great. It was just like, wow, like just getting to meet somebody through music again, It's like one of the things I really miss in this time that we're in. And other than that, every Tuesday I do my songbook sessions where you could just tune in at rootfire.net/TV and listen to me sing some songs, which is what I really like to do. Nice. And then go follow me on Twitch. My handle is manlikedevin, because I'm just trying to accumulate some followers and do a DJ party over there and spin some of these records behind me for longer than 5 minutes before Instagram kicks me off. So, follow me on Twitch, and I haven't checked lately if people have been following me, but we're going to do a Reggae PodClash DJ night sometime in the next couple months. Roger and I have talked about this.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
On Twitch. We're going to do it. So that's what's happening. And in the meantime, you can email us at thereggaepodclash@gmail.com. Go check out the website, thereggaepodclash.com. It's where you can go listen to the tunes of the next week's upcoming tune of the week. You can go hear it, plus another playlist that we've put up. We're just trying to, one of our goals in this show is just trying to share our love for Jamaican music with people. So you can always go to the reggaepodclash.com, and each week you'll hear a refreshed playlist of 10 new in the sense that they weren't there last week tunes. They're almost always going to be old school Jamaican songs that Roger and I are into. And it's cool because, not only you hear some cool music, but you can hear the tunes that we're going to talk about the following week. So maybe you can come with your own questions hearing those. And yeah, I think that's it, man. Like we said, that next Saturday we're going live at noon Pacific time to accommodate our legendary guest, Mr. Vin Gordon.
Yes,
And,
get all your questions ready, people.
yes.
Please, he's an OG. How many OGs do we have left? So get your questions ready, and it's going to be a really, really cool show. 12 o'clock noon. Yes.
Yes. All right. Very special thanks to our guest, Josh Heinrichs.
Big up.
And please go buy his music and buy his merch and go follow him on Instagram. He lost some followers. He needs some new followers. Go follow him on Instagram.
Go support.
And Raj, it's good to see you
Dev,
as always.
Great seeing you, man.
And I will see you next week, bro.
Later days, Dev.
All
Later
right.
days, everyone.
Later.